Okay, continuing with our video lessons. Okay, we're going to work on some exercises. Okay, these exercises you can find them on page 137. Okay, on your books. Okay, we are still going to be working. Okay, how we do the trigonometric functions. Okay, and how do we do with, for example, double angles, half angles. Okay, so we're still going to be using the trigonometric identities. Okay, we are still going to be using the rules for sum and difference formulas. Okay, remember that these formulas, you can find them on page 136. Okay, and the exercises are on page 137. Okay, now remember, the table that you were supposed to write on your notebooks or on a separate piece of paper, okay, was the table on page 126, okay, which was this exact table. Okay, so remember to have it at hand so that it's easier for you to work these exercises. That way you don't have to be working, on the exercise and, turning to your book on page 126. Okay, so we're going to work some exercises from page 137. Okay, now let me see, let's do number 2, letter C. Okay, oh sorry, letter B. Okay, this one says, letter B says cosine 45 sine cosine of 15 minus sine of 45 sine of 15. Okay, now if we start to look, okay, on our trigonometric functions, okay, here we do not need these answers. Okay, the first thing that we need, okay, in case we want to solve this exercise, okay, we're going to need the table. Okay, now if you notice, okay, on page 137, what they are asking, okay, let me focus it here. Okay, what they are asking is express as a trigonometric function of one angle. Okay, so they are not asking for the answers. What they're asking for is what trigonometric formula can we use to express this. Okay, so for example, if we're doing, okay, letter B, which is this one, okay, we have cosine of 45, cosine of 15, minus sine of 45, sine of 15. Okay, so what do we know about this? Okay, let's look for a formula, either sum or difference, okay, that gives us an answer that has cosine cosine minus sine sine. Okay, remember that in this case, okay, since we have two angles, here is 45 and here is 15, one is alpha, one is beta. Okay, so we're looking for a formula that gives us cosine cosine, cosine of alpha, cosine of beta, minus sine of alpha, sine of beta. Okay, so let's look for our formulas. Okay, page 136. Okay, so which one gives us cosine? Okay, let's look for the formulas, right? We have sine of alpha plus beta, sine of alpha minus beta, cosine of alpha plus beta, cosine of alpha minus beta, and so on. Okay, now we're looking for a cosine alpha, cosine beta, minus sine alpha, sine beta. Okay, so let's look for it. Okay, cosine alpha, cosine beta, minus sine alpha, sine beta. So that means that we have cosine of alpha plus beta. So what we do, in this exercise is that we need to transform, okay, and we put it as cosine of 45, and was it a sum or a difference? It was a sum, right? So we'd have to put plus 15. Okay, remember that this comes from what? Cosine of alpha plus beta. Okay, so cosine of alpha plus beta transforms into this, if we put 45 as alpha and 15 as beta. Okay, so the cosine of 45, okay, plus 15, how much? That would put us on cosine of 60. Okay, and in here, what they're asking for is this cosine of 60. Okay, now how do we know that this is correct? Okay, we can check. Let's try to check it. Okay, for example, cosine of 60. Okay, cosine of 60, 0.5. Okay, now let's see if this gives us that answer. Okay, we put cosine of 45 times cosine of 15, okay, minus sine of 45 times sine of 15. Look, 0.5. Okay, so this is how we know it's correct. Okay, because this cosine times this cosine minus this sine times this sine is the same as saying cosine of 45 plus 16 cosine of 60 equals 0.5 or 1/2, however you want to put it. Okay, and this is how we check that it is correct. Okay, so this is number 2, letter B. Let's try another one. Let's try let's try letter E. Let's do letter E, number 2, letter E. Okay, the exercise says, look at number 2, letter E. This one says sine of x plus y cosine of y minus cosine of x plus y times sine of y. Okay, so if you notice, what we need to do here is 2 steps. First, we need to work on this sine, and then we include this one. And in here, we have to do this one first, and then we include the sine. Okay? So, let's work on this one. Now, what do we need to do first? Let me copy the exercise so that we can have it at hand. Okay? So what they're asking for is sine of x plus y, okay, times cosine of y. Okay? Here is one sum, right? And then we have to multiply times cosine of y. Okay? Then we have minus cosine of x plus y times sine of y. Okay? So, what do we do first? First, we need to solve this one. Okay? We need to solve this sum. Okay? Now, how do we work this sum? We go to our formulas, okay? The ones that we have on page 136. Okay? And we take this one, right? They're asking for sine of x plus y. Okay, so sine of x plus y is going to be the first one. Sine of x, cosine of y, plus cosine of x, sine of y. Okay, so that's what they're asking for first. Okay, so let's work on that one. We have sine of y. Sorry, sine of x. Let me write it again. Sine of x, cosine of y, plus cosine of x, sine of y. And this is being multiplied by cosine of y. Let's put it here. Okay. Then we have the minus. Okay. Then we have sine of y, which is outside. And then we have the sum. Okay. So this would be, okay, cosine of x plus y. Okay. We use the sum formula, and we have cosine of x times cosine of y, which is the same in the same order, no importa, minus sine of x, sine of y, and then we close it. Okay, and this one multiplies all of this. Okay, now once we have this, let's simplify and convert this term into minus. Okay, so we know that it's minus. Okay? Now, let's do the multiplication. Okay, so that we know exactly what we're looking for. Okay? Cosine of y times this term is going to be sine of x cosine square of y. Okay, remember that this one times this one is going to convert the cosine of y to the square. Okay? Let me center here. Okay? Plus cosine of y times this one is going to be cosine of y cosine of x sine of y. Okay, because there are no equal terms, so we just have to multiply them. Okay, then we have minus this one times this one. It's going to be minus sine of y cosine of y cosine of x. Okay, and the negative times the negative, it's going to convert this one into positive, right? Okay, so we have plus, okay, sine of y times sine of x sine of y. Okay, so it's going to be sine of x sine of y to the square. Okay, so if you notice, these two terms are exactly the same. Sine of y, cosine of x, cosine of x, cosine of y, cosine of y. Okay, and one is positive, one is negative. So what do we do here? We eliminate. Okay, and what do we have left? We have sine of x cosine square of y plus sine of x sine square of y. Okay, and if you notice, these two are equal, right? So we can take it out. If we take out the x, sine of x, we have cosine square of y plus sine square of y. Okay, and what do we know about cosine square of y, sine square of y? What do we know about this term? Cosine square plus sine square is what? Let's go to our identities and formulas. Okay, do we have something here? No. Do we have something here? No. But what about here? Oh, if you notice, sine square of theta plus cosine square of theta is 1. So that means what? Cosine square of y plus sine square of y is what? That is equal to 1. Okay, so the total answer is sine of x. Do you see? What did we use? We use our formulas. Okay, we are using our formulas, okay, to find the answers to these exercises. Okay, so that means that what do we need to know? It's important to know all of the formulas. Sum and difference, Pythagorean, identities, anything can help us to solve these exercises. Okay? Perfect. Now, let's move on to the next one. Let's do number 3, letter A. Let's see, number 3, letter A. Okay, so we have cosine pi over 2 plus x equals negative sine of x. Okay, so from this exercise, we need to come to this one. Remember that exercise number 3, what is being asked from exercise number 3? It says, look at the instructions, okay? The instructions say establish each identity. So that means that I need to work this side to get to this answer, okay? That is what they're asking. Okay, so we're going to do letter A. Cosine of pi over 2 plus x equals negative sine of x. Okay, so that means that I need to reach this answer from this one. Okay? So, what do we do first? Okay? We look for our formula where we have to work cosine of alpha plus beta. The only thing is that beta is an x and alpha is pi over 2. Okay? So, using our formulas, okay, we have cosine of alpha cosine of beta minus sine of alpha, okay, sine of beta. This is our formula. Okay, so we established the values. Okay, cosine of alpha, alpha is pi over 2, cosine of beta, which is cosine of x, minus sine of pi over 2, sine of x. Okay, now, do we have exact values for the cosine of pi over 2? Yes. We come to our table. Okay, remember, this is why we have our table. Okay, and we have it in radians. Remember that? That is why we have this table in radians and degrees. Okay, so we're looking for pi over 2 here. Okay, it's the same as 90. Okay, and we're looking for what? First, the cosine. Okay, so the cosine of pi over 2, meaning 0. Okay, so cosine of pi over 2 becomes 0 times cosine of x. Okay, and then sine of, okay, sine of pi over 2. Let's look at it. Sine of pi over 2, meaning 1. Okay, so sine over 2 becomes 1, and then sine of x. Okay, so 0 times cosine of x doesn't matter. This is 0. Okay, and we only have negative 1 times sine of x, negative sine of x. Did we reach our answer? Yes. Okay, we reached our answer. Okay, and remember, that is why we have this, so we don't have to be looking at other pages in the book. Okay, so make sure to have that table ready. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do letter G. Okay, letter G. Okay, letter G says, let me copy it here. Sine. Okay, I'm not sure if we're going to have enough space. This one is a little long. Okay, so let's do it here. Letter G, right? Okay. So letter G says sine of alpha plus beta plus sine of alpha minus beta, okay, divided by cosine alpha cosine beta. Okay, and the answer that they want to get to is 2 tangent of alpha. Okay, so from all of this, we have to get to this answer. Okay, so let's start working. Okay, first we work the first sum, right? So we would have sine of alpha, okay, cosine of beta, okay, plus cosine alpha, okay, sine of beta. Okay, and all of this is the first sum, right? And then we have to add it with the sign of the difference. Okay, so we have sine of alpha, okay, cosine of beta minus cosine alpha sine of beta. Okay, and all of this divided by cosine alpha cosine beta. Okay, so let me focus it here. Okay, so remember, this is the first sum, right? This one. And this term is this one. Okay, and the denominator stays the same, right? Okay. So let's start working. And if you notice, okay, we have a term that we can cancel. Look this one. Cosine alpha, sine of beta. Cosine alpha, sine of beta. One is positive, one is negative. So we can already eliminate these two terms, okay, because this is positive. So positive times positive stays positive. Positive times negative stays negative. Okay, so if we take out the parentheses, we can eliminate these two terms. Okay, so once we eliminate, okay, what do we have left? We have sine alpha cosine beta plus sine alpha cosine beta. These are the same terms, but same symbol. Okay, so this is the same as having 2 times sine alpha cosine beta. And the denominator is cosine alpha cosine beta. Okay, now if you notice, now can we eliminate any term? Yes, right? Cosine beta, cosine beta. Okay, they are the same term, so we can eliminate. Okay, once we eliminate, what do we have left? 2 over sine of alpha cosine of alpha. And according to our trigonometric functions and identities, what is sine over cosine? Tangent. Okay, and that's our answer. Did we get to the same answer that we were required to get to? Yes. Look at this one and look at this one. Same answer. Okay, so our function was correct. Okay, so what do we need to know so that we can solve these exercises? Okay, first, right now we didn't use it, but we need our table, right? Okay, we also need to remember the trigonometric identities, Pythagorean identities, cofunction identities, sum and difference identities, okay, so that we can solve these exercises. Okay, so if you have any questions about this topic, please let me know. Remember that we still have the video from the live class lesson from Microsoft Teams, okay, so you can check that one out. Okay, and under this video I will post the link for the exercises that you need to complete. Okay, I haven't put a date yet, but make sure to have them ready. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.